Today we'll be asking if this Lekto Night Briquette can really burn for 8 hours. Right, hello fellow wood burners. If like me you're on Facebook and you've ever mentioned the word wood burning, you will no doubt have seen hundreds and hundreds of ads from a company called Lekto, advertising, amongst other things, their night briquettes, which claim to be able to burn for 8 hours. I finally decided to get some, purely to see if it's really true, because I can't see, when we look at our logs that we burn on our little 5 kilowatt stove here, you're lucky to get 40 minutes. Maybe with a good piece of oak you might get nearly an hour. So something that can burn for 8 hours seems incredible. However, I've taken delivery of their smallest possible box of them. One thing to say about this, it weighs an absolute ton, so there's something in them. But you might want to consider that if you do decide to order some. So, how exciting. We'll open the box and see what we've got. And I'm just going to tear it apart. So there we are. We've got 2 packs in polythene of briquettes. Now let's open one up and I'll bring it in close for you to have a look at. Lots and lots of dust. Presumably that would have once been part of the briquette. And there is one. And this crumbles all over the place. So you think, how long can that burn if it's just going to be all crumbly like that? Very compressed, apparently made of softwood bark. Fairly hefty. So you can see the fire's burning. I'm sure the instructions say to get the embers going and then put one of these in. So I'm going to do that shortly, once that's burnt down a little bit more, and see how long one of these will burn for. 8 hours of filming later? Yeah, not sure. Welcome back. So we're going to deploy one of the night briquettes. The stove is a Dean Forge Baker Eco 5, but the high version, so you've got more room at the bottom. Got a nice little oven at the top, which we use quite frequently actually. And it was the narrow top, and to be all honesty I should have bought the wide top, so I had a piece of boilerplate made up for me to make it wider. So that's the stove, that's not what you're here for. So here we go, we're putting on 8 hours of burning material here. Let's see what it does. So you can see that in the time it's taken me to adjust the camera, it's cool. We're fully locked down on the front main vent there. Side vent is halfway open. I presume you just let it get going first. I'm going to start locking down now completely. There we are, that's as much as I can lock down on the Eco stove. This is the April 22 type, so it's fully compliant. Alright, let's have a little look. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here in Sussex, UK. So I'll check back in, or you'll check back in with me, in an hour's time. That should be still going perfectly. Check back in an hour's time. Welcome back. 3 o'clock has come and the briquette is still burning, and it's been carrying on just like you see now for that whole time. I was a bit worried when the front all caught, and as you can see it sort of turned the outer part of it to ash. So I assume if it's going to keep going it means that it just gradually works into it. So let's have a look. 3 o'clock now. What say we come back in 2 hours this time and see how it's doing. So see you at 5 o'clock and see how it's getting on. It has put out a really nice amount of heat. Thermometer is just into the red, the area where it recommends you burn, so it's keeping it going, which is really nice. It's nice and warm. Can see how this would work overnight if it does do the 8 hours. It does say in the instructions to put 2 in, but this is a small stove. But it would be interesting to see what one can do. See you at 5 o'clock. Welcome back early. It's only just 3:15. So the little flame that was on the back of the log, on the briquette there, has gone. I don't know what to do, whether I should poke it to see if there's anything more solid, open the vent a little bit, give it a little bit more air perhaps. But yeah, so that's not doing too well. Just taking the vent open a bit, nothing much happening. It is red. Let me just turn off my video light, and you'll see exactly the state it's in. It is red, so perhaps it just stays like that for the remainder of the hours. I've just shut the vent again. Well, not shut, closed it as much as I can. Apologies for the noise of the washing machine in the background, life goes on. So I might now come back in 3/4 of an hour, 4 o'clock, and see what's happening. Welcome back to a very unimpressive little fire. However, it is still red, and maybe this is how it works. Maybe they trickle on. It's 4 o'clock now. Let me just show you the side of the stove so you can see the thermometer. So as you can see, we've dropped down out of the sweet spot, the red zone. But the stove is still hot. It's too hot to put my hand on. The 2 heat-powered fans are still turning, albeit quite slowly now. Now once again, I'm going to turn off the video light so you can see what the briquette's doing. So it is still very hot. I suppose if there were 2 in there, we'd be getting a lot more. So perhaps this is how they work. Perhaps they just carry on like this. Probably not going to be enough for us this evening. It's a cold day. So I might well be showing you a couple of briquettes going in about 10 or 11 when we finish. So flue cube. This is with the Lekto 8-hour briquette on. 0 smoke. Welcome back. It's now 5 o'clock. The briquette has split in half, and there is a little flame coming out of it. The stove fans are still turning, and it says we're at about 210 to 20 degrees. But we are starting to get a bit cold, aren't we?
Yes.
So normally we'd have the fire going. You can't touch the stove, it's too hot to touch. But what we're going to do, because we do need to make the fire up, is we're going to give it a poke and see how much material is left. What do you think, Cheryl? Has it been not particularly successful? Is it? How many is that? 3 hours, isn't it?
Not particularly inspiring, but
no, but
it's still staying warm.
I honestly didn't see how something would burn with a flame for all that time. So here it is. Oh, it's still quite solid. Look. But would that really go on for 8 hours? There is quite a lot of heat there, to be fair. What do you think?
Perhaps we're doing it an injustice.
Maybe so. Well, I'm going to try it properly tonight. I'm going to put 2 on tonight and see if it does keep going. But now it's time to put on the kindling and see if we can get that fire to relight, which I think is one of the things they say you can do. So the firelighters have taken over, and we'll come back tonight at the end of the burning, put 2 on and see if they do last all night. Well, good evening everyone. It's just coming up to 10:20. on the same day as the previous bit of film that you saw. Just waiting for those bits of fire to burn down a bit more, and I've selected 2 of the night briquettes that I'm going to try and put onto the fire. And then what I'm going to do is set the camera to take a picture every 5 minutes, and I'll stitch all that together, and we'll get an idea of how the briquettes progress throughout the night. There's a clock here which will give some idea of the time, and hopefully we shall see what we shall see. Will they last 8 hours? Okay, so what we have there is a perfect bed of dying embers. Temperature's just starting to fall off on the thermometer on the side of the stove. So I'm going to go ahead now and add 2 of the briquettes. So I've already got the secondary vent fully open, and here we go. Number 1 and number 2. Close them up. We've just got to get them going, and I close the vent as far as possible onto their instructions. So they're taking readily enough. There's plenty of heat in there still. And it says wait for them to be nicely burning, which I think is approaching that moment fairly soon. I do hope this works. I've got no particular axe to grind with the company or anything. Lekto wood fuels. I just want to see if the claim of 8 hours burning can be substantiated. The one we tried earlier, it looks like 3 hours maybe, but this time I'm using the 2 as recommended in the instructions. So I'm going to close the side vent now. When I say close, it's on its minimum setting, which is the setting that the eco stoves have. So that should gradually die back. So the camera will not be on video when I leave it, it will be on stop motion. And as I say, it'll take a picture every 5 minutes, which should allow us to look when we play it back quickly and see how the fire progressed. So it's just come up to 10:30, so I'm going to start the camera on its pictures now to give us an idea of the timings. Catch you later, have a good night. So as the time-lapse photos play, I'll just tell you my observations. I felt the briquette started too enthusiastically. In fact, as you can see, despite the stove being locked down, the fire was very strong indeed, keeping the stove temperature gauge above the usual middle of the red setting. They continued to burn like this until 23:26, about an hour later. So hot was the room that I had to use a fan to keep the camera cool, and our front room reached nearly 22 degrees. These things are capable of a huge heat output. As time progressed, the burn was more like I'd expected, but I was now starting to wonder if they could make 2 or 3 hours, let alone 8. By midnight 51, the briquettes looked nearly exhausted, and I intervened soon after this point. It's 1:52 in the morning. The briquettes have finished their really excessively hot burn and are just glowing red. That does mean that the fans are still going. Temperature is about 210. So what's that? Just about 4 hours again. What will they be like in another 4 hours time? 6 o'clock to make the 8 hours. Morning everyone, it's now 5 o'clock in the morning. So that's 7 hours later. And that is what we have left. However, the stove is still warm. The room's noticeably warm when I came down. And look, it is still burning. Quite a bit of ash as a result. But yes, their claim is true. They probably can burn for 8 hours. So overall, that's quite impressive. So the Lekto Night Briquettes are capable of an extremely long burn time. I think they're around about £1 each when you think about it. That seems a lot, but you know, the company's got to make money, I suppose. And I can see a lot of uses for these, even during the day. Hope that was useful. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and liking the video.
So how about that? A true claim. And with a little bit of experimentation, I think I could easily get the stated 8 hours, which I still find incredible. However, the story does not end there. Oh no. Because the stove actually stayed warm with embers under the ash for no less than 15 hours later. Absolutely amazing. Well done, Lekto Wood Fuels.